Okay. Good afternoon, dear participants. On behalf of Energy Management Institute and Energy Management Center, I welcome all the participants to this program. Most of you watching this session in Facebook and joined in this webinar platform may know that EMC is the state designated agency of Bureau of Energy Efficiency to enforce and coordinate the Energy Conservation Act 2001, and DMC is working from Kerala on 1996 onwards. So this is the Silver Jubilee year of Energy Management Center, and in this Silver Jubilee year, we also planned this program Go Electric campaign, and this is the second program of this series, Go Electric campaign webinar series. And in this session, we are discussing about EV charging solution and proposals. The presentation is from Delta. So today's speaker already we have invited Mr. Ankit from Delta for this session, but due to some medical emergencies, he can't attend the session. So Mr. CM Varghese from Delta will be continuing with the session. He is presently working in association with Delta, and he is a graduate engineer from RIC Calicut 78 batch. And he is also a Bureau of Energy Efficiency Certified Energy Manager, worked in Keltron and other nuclear power corporation, and he's worked on various higher capacity UPS, its design and other activities. So I welcome Mr. Varghese CM to continue with his session. Thank you all.
Thank you. Good evening to all. In fact, good afternoon to all. Yeah. So let us straight go to the subject. So we are speaking on the EV charging solutions. And presently I here represent Delta e-mobility. And Delta is a MNC company. Just a minute. I have to go back I will just stop share and go back because that is not moving.
The presentation is not moving, sir.
Yeah. I just go back and see it.
Okay.
Let me go back and get back.
Sure, sir.
There is something wrong with my presentation.
Can you see the screen share option?
Yeah, screen share option is not seen here. That is the problem now.
Wait, sir. One second.
Sir, are you able to get the permission now, sir? The screen share option is there? No?
No.
No?
No. Yeah, it is here. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can see now, sir.
Okay. Somehow that animation is not working. Slideshow. Okay. You can see it now.
Yes, sir, it is visible. You can continue with it.
Okay. So to talk about Delta, Delta is a MNC spread across the world. It is a $8 billion US company. And they are very much in the telecom, power supply, industrial automation, especially the grid tie inverters. In fact, they were the pioneers in grid tie inverters. And in fact, they are the pioneers in the EV chargers also in India, among other very few companies. And they are the company who spend almost 5 to 6% of their group sales to the R&D. So that's the importance of the company, the company to come up with the new technology, new innovations. People have to invest in the R&D. They are one of the companies among many who spend a good amount in the R&D. So in India, they are at Delhi, and most of operations are coming in this industrial automation, data center infrastructure. In addition to energy storage, wind power, also solar energy system in terms of grid tie inverters. And this is their growth. I mean, there's a good growth, approximately that more than 31% of CAGR. That's the growth. So today we have to speak on the product, especially the EV chargers. So this is the product portfolio. So you can start from the left end to right end. So this is a smallest charger for an EV. Then because this comes along with the vehicle, and this is the wall mounted one, and this is its higher level. Still, it's the DC level. These all are DCs. So these first three are AC charger. Charger means it is, when you say AC charger means there's no meaning in that, because a charger means what it is, you have to convert AC to DC. So here AC charger means it gives a stable, steady, protected AC. That's all. The charger is inside the vehicle. So whereas DC charger means it's a charger itself, it gives the output to DC. So that is why it have more kilowatt compared to the other one. So let us see the EV market in India. So, why we go to EV? There are mainly two reasons. The amount government is spending every year on the import of crude is so huge. That is economic background of that. Otherwise, we all know global warming is the largest disaster of this century. And in fact, the pandemic itself could be a turnout of global warming. So world across, countries are moving behind a carbon-free grid. A carbon-free grid. That means a grid supply not from the carbon, either not from the coal or not from the oil or gas. Then a fossil fuel-free transportation. So that's very important to say, the fossil fuel-free transportation. Because as of now, we know the transportation is mostly by fossil fuel. So the CO2 emission is a fundamental thing is from the electricity, that is from the electricity generation. Of course, we have a lot of heat energy used, many industries and many countries in the cold countries for getting even their own homes. Then the next item is the transportations. So unless otherwise we move away from these two, that is the carbon grid as well as fossil transportation, we cannot achieve the target of global warming. So that's the importance of why we have to go to the EV. So As far as India is concerned, India need to reduce dependency on fossil fuel-based economy, just like any other countries. And the first reason is that I told you, almost 100+ billion US dollars import every year for us in terms of petroleum. Then, if you know, the air quality in many cities of India is very poor. Perhaps you may be remembering before our pandemic, the visibility in Delhi itself was very poor because of the emission intensity, in fact. And many of our cities already exceeded the emission indexes, allowed indexes. So naturally, we have to move or free these cities from the emission, unless otherwise, the calamities, the health issues are going to be abundant. So that is the reason why, just like any other country, we also has to go to EVs. And not only the pollutions in the air, there is also sound pollution. The cities, if you look at sound pollution, also is another alarming issues. So we have to move to EV because of these two issues. Now, if you look at the EV market, see, if you look at the market, see, when you say EVs, there are many kinds of EVs. You can say the hybrid electric vehicles are there, which uses petrol plus electric. You have battery EV, that is use only battery. Then you have fuel cell powered electric vehicle, where hydrogen is the input. The hydrogen gets converted to water in the fuel cells. In that process, electricity is generated. The electricity drives the vehicles. So these are the main 3 electric vehicles available. Out of that, if we say it is plug-in hybrid is there, that means some hybrids need to plug in for charging. Some hybrids which is having very smaller battery need not plug in. For example, Toyota Camry. Toyota Camry is a vehicle which is hybrid in nature. Whenever you have excess energy in the engine, like you have to brake, then you have to come down a steep place to lower places. These are the times where you have excess energy which can charge some small batteries, and this energy will be used for the other way. I mean, starting the vehicle, and whenever you have to go steep. So the advantage is the overall mileage of Camry is almost 25 kilometer to 27 kilometer per liter of petrol. I mean, it will increase the efficiency. And in the electric vehicle as such, it is energy is stored in the battery, and this energy is converted to, mostly it is converted to AC, that is a variable frequency, through a variable frequency drive, which is the drive. The engine drive is that a variable frequency drive. Then you have a motor. So these are the 3 main items. That is, you have the battery, which is the energy source. Then you have the controller or the drive, the engine drive systems. Then you have the motor, the 3 items. Then of course the accessories like a body, all these things. So this is the system of electric vehicles. If you look at presently, the battery cost is almost 50% of the total cost. That is why even now, and the battery we are using is lithium-ion batteries. That is why it is costly as of now. That is why the electric vehicle is costing more. But as you know, every product, when it becomes en masse in use, the price comes down. And it is assumed by 2025, the electric vehicle will match in price with the petrol or diesel vehicles. That means when you reach such a scenario, eventually the LCVs, that is the light commercial vehicles using the fossil fuel, will be getting moved out one by one. So that is what we all expect. Now, if you look at the initiative from the government, whenever you introduce a new technology, there are some difficulties. Initial cost is high. People will have the apprehension whether it will be okay, it will be good, it will work, what will be the economy, how is the service, and in case the technology fails, what we will do. So many apprehensions will be there. So it is up to the government to place it in front of the public and spread the technology and give the infrastructure so that people come forward and start using. When it reaches a certain amount of using, naturally, it will automatically spread. So initially, to spread this technology, the government came out with the different schemes of giving incentives. Incentives like the price incentives, tax incentives, insurance incentives. So many things were there. I think insurance is not there, but the tax, road tax was nil. Then the GST is made very low. Then the price incentives up to a certain amount of price is subsidized. So these incentives plus the charging stations, vehicle has to run in the road means that it is to be charged. For a single charge, it can run say 80 kilometers starting that the older little older vehicles. Presently, it is 300 kilometers to 400 kilometers. So naturally, it has to charge, especially for a long run. So there has to be charging infrastructure. Charging infrastructure is a costly thing, and not only it is costly, the difficulty is that because the number of vehicles on the road is very less, the return will be less. So the government has to come forward, establish few charging stations, see the number of vehicles are coming up, then naturally it will, all this business sector will improve and increase, and you will see so many charging stations even in the private sectors. So as of now, it is the government initiative and government incentives which drives this. So for the driving, what we had, let us see. So government came out with a special incentive scheme which is called FAME. What is FAME? Faster adoption and manufacture of hybrid electric vehicles. Faster adoption and manufacture of electric vehicle. It includes hybrid. That is called FAME. So we had FAME 1 already over. Then we have now FAME 2. And let us see. The FAME was introduced to incentivize, promote electric vehicles in India. So government wanted to give infrastructure, government want to people to make aware and people to buy with incentives and such features. That was the FAME. And in FAME 1 to FAME 2, what happened? Are you seeing it or?
Sorry, you are visible to us, but slides are not changing.
Now it is not changing?
Please.
Not changing?
Yeah, it's changed.
Yeah,
No
yeah.
problem. You can continue.
Okay. So I think I talked about this. Yeah,
Yeah,
I was talking here FAME 1. So this is FAME 1. So what was the FAME 1? In the FAME 1, government was there to give around 795 crores incentives in different ways. And the FAME 1 was, actually it was ended, I think, in 2019. It started in 2015. Okay. So in the FAME 1 also there was incentives, and from 2020 onwards, government came out with the FAME 2, which is running now. Perhaps, I don't know, you might have read a news today's paper. The incentives was increased by 50%. Have you seen it? Today's paper, it is there, because there was a demand from the industry to improve the situations, to improve the sales. They wanted improve the incentives, and government increased the incentives by 50%. So let us see what is there in the FAME 2. So in the FAME 2, which is starting with 2019, it will end by 2020. Perhaps it may be elongated, extended due to the COVID condition, all these things we don't know. But as of now, the outlay is like this. In the 2019, 20,500 crores is given, and 2021 that is running 5,000 crores incentives will be there. And next year it is, now it is running 21, 22. This year it is 3,500 crores. So totally 10,000 crores incentives are there in the FAME 2. And this is not for all vehicles. It is given for a plug-in hybrid and strong hybrid 4-wheelers, electric 3-wheelers, including e-rickshaws and 2-wheelers, not there for heavy vehicles. So for the overall monitoring, sanctioning and implementation of the scheme, Inter-Ministerial Empowered Committee is there. So today's paper says the incentive increased means it was 10,000 rupees per kilowatt hour because the vehicles were rated in terms of its storage. 1 kilowatt hour was getting around 10,000 rupees. That means a two-wheeler using 1 kilowatt hour battery was getting 10,000. If it was having a battery of 2 kilowatt hour, it was getting 20,000, which is increased to 30,000 today onwards, as per the news. So that is the incentive scheme. In addition to that, there are incentives like, I think it is state to state is different. I think here it is road tax is nil and GST also, I think it is less compared to other vehicles. So these are the different incentives. Under FAME 2, we can see. So in 2019, 20, 2021, 21, 22, like that. So the demand incentives are there, charging infrastructure is there, then administrative expenditure. Demand incentive means while selling the vehicle itself, the price is incentivized, the subsidy is given. Then charging infrastructure means for setting up of the chargers, certain amount is earmarked. So the chargers can be set up by government institutions, PSUs, and housing societies. These incentives are different for different levels. So that is the different incentives under the FAME 2. Then you have demand incentives. So this is what I was telling. So under the scheme, it was proposed rupees 10,000 per kilowatt hour. That means the battery per kilowatt hour means you get an incentive of 10,000. But for the buses, it was e-buses, it was 20,000. So this 10,000 for two-wheelers is increased to 15,000 by the latest news. Okay, now FAME 2 will be over by 2022. So those who are thinking of buying an electric vehicle, or you can just see the possibility now. Now coming to charging standards. So this is a subject, in fact, we wanted to discuss. So what is this charging? Everybody may be knowing about battery charging. I am sure most of you have seen or using a inverter at home. This inverter is working as a charger during mains mode, and it is charging the battery. So that is a battery charger. That means it is AC is converted to DC, shooting the battery, and it has to charge the battery. So mostly what we are using is the lead acid battery. But in electric vehicles, it is lithium-ion battery. Why? See, the electric vehicle is not a new phenomenon. It was there even our fuel vehicles. But why it was not commercialized was it was so bulky, and the battery it was available that time, even a few years before, it was so bulky. The energy density of the battery was heavy, so it could not carry mileage. I mean, with that battery we cannot get mileage. Efficiency also poor. So when we were in a situation to use lithium-ion battery, which is having a very good energy density. It's almost 1/3 of lead acid battery. If a lead acid battery is, you might have seen 100H battery, 150H battery. The 100H battery means 100H into 12 volt means approximately 1200 watt hour or 1.0 kilowatt hour. It weighs almost 30 to 35 kg. The same watt hour lithium-ion battery weighs only almost 10 kg. So the weight is less, the volume is less. That is the advantage of lithium-ion battery. And not only that, lithium-ion battery is having a much better efficiency discharge efficiency compared to even discharge and charging efficiency compared to lead acid battery. And also the life. So the life of a battery is not years. In fact, the life of a battery is number of charge discharge cycles. So whereas if you go to a lead acid battery, a good battery have approximately, depending upon the depth of discharge, you can get approximately say 600 to 2000 maximum with a very low, less than 50% depth of discharge. Whereas lithium-ion battery in the same condition, you can get almost up to, see, these vehicles are guaranteeing 10 years, 1 lakh, 1.6 lakhs kilometers. almost 5,000 charge discharge cycles. And some other batteries are there which is giving much more, even 10,000. Still better batteries are coming. It's saying almost 1 million kilometers. These batteries are in the offing. So here in the vehicle, you know, the lithium-ion battery is here at the most of the cases at the bottom of the vehicles. And normal vehicles, I mean the normal charger there is, it is there on the onboard. We take a most of the vehicles in the road as of now, what you can see is you have Tata Nexon, then you have Hyundai Kona, Nissan Leaf, then old vehicle, little old vehicles like a Mahindra E2O, Tata Tiago. These vehicles are having, all these vehicles are having an onboard charger, and generally it is around 3 kilowatt. That means it cannot charge more than, it cannot take a power or deliver power more than 3 kilowatt. So if you have a 30 kilowatt hour battery here inside these vehicles, so 3 kilowatt into 10 hour, 30 kilowatt hour, you know, so it takes almost 10 hour for charging. So without an external charger, if you hook your car to your home supply, it will charge almost in 10 hours. But if you want to charge it in a much faster time, you need a DC charger. See, if you take a lead acid battery, you cannot charge it in a very less of time, like 1 hour, 2 hours, because a lead acid battery doesn't allow the charging current more than 20% of the age. That means you need minimum 5 hours. Whereas in a lithium-ion battery, depending upon the type of lithium, you know, that not only lithium-ion battery, there are different lithium batteries. There are batteries, even it can charge in 15 minutes, 10 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours, like that. So most of this lithium battery in car can be fully charged within 1 hour. That means it can take, see, the 100 Ah battery means it can take 100 ampere also without any damage, without any issues. So that is the difference between the lead acid battery as well as, I mean, to lithium-ion battery. So it is not only lithium-ion battery, we have lithium iron phosphate battery, lithium titanate battery. Under this lithium ion itself, there are many varieties are there. Okay. Now let us see the different kind of chargers. See, you have a conductive charging. You connect it through a wire. Current is passing through the wire. Then you have wireless charging. Wireless charging is two varieties. One is the static. That means it's charges from the bottom. There is no wire. And there is another type which will charge while moving en route. Okay, this is the common one now. These two are basically not much available in commercial. In some Western countries, this are started coming out, but in a very limited way. I mean, the kilowatt rating is much less. But definitely, this is the technology for the future, no doubt. So that is one type. Then another type, of course, you can say model 1, 2, 3. Out of this is model 1, model 2. See, from here you can see this is your ordinary charger inside. So you hook your charger cable to your home supply. This is the mode 1 we say. Then mode 2 means you have a charger in between. Again, you take the supply from your home or your office from the AC plug, but you have the charger in between. And this is the mode 3. Mode 3 means more or less same thing. You have the AC, again charger inside, but there is a communication between your charger to the vehicle. Otherwise, in the previous one, there is no communication. The mode 4 is the highest mode 1, where not only there is a communication, but you have a charger here. The output is DC. So this is basically for the fast charger. Among the fast charger itself, we say there is a fast, medium fast, ultra fast, depending upon what speed it is. So you have a AC charging, you have DC charging, then DC ultra fast charging. So AC charging you have, if it is a lower kilowatt, like, you know, generally what is available is 7.2 kilowatt, which can be selected for 3.6 also, that comes in a single phase. The same thing is available in 3 phase, which is either 10 kilowatt or 22 kilowatt. That means you have 3 plugs, each one will be 6.6 into 3 or 3.3 into 3. Then you have DC charging. So this is the one which we were using earlier for the Mahindra E2O or for the Tata Tiago, where the DC is sufficient 48 or 72 voltage. And the battery was only around 15 to 20 kilowatt hour, not kilowatt hour. Whereas the latest vehicles, what is coming in the road as of now, like Hyundai Kona is approximately 40 kilowatt hour, and Nexon is 30 kilowatt hour, and Nissan Leaf also is more or less same. MG also, I think it is more or less same. And all these vehicles, the DC is higher. The DC is about 200 voltage. Most of these vehicles come at a DC of 360, 384 voltage. And you know the electric buses, BYD buses, which we are used for the KSRTC, all using is still higher. It's almost 300 kilowatt hour battery inside, and the DC is almost 700 voltage. So depending upon the vehicle size and the mileage, you need a bigger battery. So naturally, you need a bigger charger. So as the kilowatt goes more and more, you need a DC voltage higher. Okay, now this is more important. See, these chargers are categorized into different standards, charging standards. We say charging standards. When it is AC, it is basically by the type of connectors, type 1, type 2, IEC, depending upon the configuration of the connector. Whereas when it comes to DC, there are three main standards in the world as of now. And the most important one and the most prominent one is the CCS, Combined Charging System, basically a European standard. And most of the countries in the world are using this standard. In the same connector, you have AC as well as DC. That is why it's called Combined Charging System. And this is the CHAdeMO. CHAdeMO is the Japanese standard. Japanese vehicle mostly using CHAdeMO. And this is the Chinese standard, GB/T. In India also, most of the vehicles they use, I don't say most of the vehicles, the smaller one, they use the Bharat DC, which is nothing but this GB/T. That 48/72 is a GB/T. So depending upon the connector and voltage standards, standards vary depending upon the connector and voltage. And which countries are using these standards? We can see Europe is using standards, and China is using GB/T. Japan is using CHAdeMO, and even in US Tesla is having their own standard. Otherwise, it is CCS. So, coming to EV infrastructure, see, you can charge the battery by directly hooking the vehicle to a charger, but there is another possibility. You can take the battery out, you can charge outside, I can put it back, which we call battery swapping. So when the charging is done through a charger, keeping the battery inside without changing, this is the combination where it is on-board charger and off-board charger. So that means, so when you have to a DC charger externally, you don't take out the battery. It is your charger is outside. Here your charger is inside. But here the difference is this is slow charging. You need more hours. When you have a charger outside, you can have a fast charging because it can have any kilowatt. And in the battery swapping, there are two types of swapping. You take the battery from the side and take the battery from the bottom or rear. For the bigger vehicle, this is a public bus, all these things, it is taken, the battery will be put inside or taken out from the side. That is the battery swapping through basically it is done through a robot. And four-wheelers, it is like car, it is from the bottom. Okay, this is not under use. See, as far as an EV charger is concerned, it is not simple giving a DC supply. It is much more than that, because as you have seen, vehicle to vehicle, the DC, what it needs could be say 240 voltage or 360 voltage or 700 voltage. Imagine it is to be done from the same charger. So That means the charger has to configure for the vehicle voltage and for the vehicle battery. How it is done? For a normal charger or what all we used in our industries, it is for a specific voltage, not for different voltage, for a specific current. But here it has to accommodate many different voltages, many different currents. And so naturally the safety is an issue and the power quality is an issue. And it is again lithium ion battery. Lithium ion battery is very, very sensitive towards the battery under voltage, battery over voltage, battery over temperature, all these things. It is very sensitive. So all this thing is to be catered here. And as such, this EV charging is an unmanned process. You need not have any manpower required. You just come with your car and plug it to the charger. The process is like that. It is software monitored and software controlled. See, when you plug your vehicle to your charger, the BMS, the battery management system inside your car, tell the charger about the battery. Say, I am so-and-so battery, my voltage is so-and-so. So the charger communicates with the central server through software, and charger is configured for that particular voltage. And depending upon how depth the battery is discharged, the time also get automatically configured. So you swap your card, charging card or credit card or whatever it is used. Then with the charging starts, and once the charging is over, you can remove your plug. We say it is a gun, charging gun. You can remove it, and automatically from your card, the payment also is debited. That is the whole process. So there is a charger provider or charging point operator, we say. Then there is a third party to support the software. So the payment gateway is there separate. So all these things should happen during a battery charging process. And you need to have a supply from the mains, which is generally all these bigger chargers need a 415 volt 3-phase. Up to 100 kVA, you can directly allowed to take from the low voltage line. Above that, you need a transformer, 11 kV or 33 kV like that. So that is the process. So how you set up a charging station? So we told these are the kinds of charging stations like CCS, CHAdeMO, then you have AC. So I told as of now in Kerala, KCB is already in the process of setting up around 56 charging stations. Already they have set up 6 charging stations across all 6 corporations in Kerala. And this 56 charging station across Kerala is under installations. And these are the combination of 15 kilowatt is there, 10 kilowatt is there, and 50 kilowatt, 50 plus 50 kilowatt DC is there. Actually, it is called 122 kilowatt, 100 plus 22 kilowatt AC plus 100 kilowatt DC. So these combinations are set up across Kerala. That means almost all vehicles you can charge in the charging station. AC, the voltage that is kilowatt model is there. Say it is slow or moderate because the kilowatt is less. Above that 50 kilowatt, 100 kilowatt, see 100 kilowatt, 150 kilowatt all are required for the buses. You know, the water metro at Kochi is using 2 numbers of 150 kilowatt charger. And they are using lithium titanate battery. So the process is, if you want to set up a charging stations, it is not at all difficult. The government promote it. It can be set up by government institutions, public sector undertakings, housing societies, when private entrepreneurs can do it. So once you set up, you apply to the discoms, they will give the connection at a very nominal price only. It is only 5 rupees per unit AC. So you get AC at 5 rupees. While you sending it as DC, the charge should be naturally more. How much? Of course, there is no capping so far has come. So we have to compensate it for the investment naturally, So different states, different places have different charging as of now. I think it is in Delhi, people are charging at ESL is charging ₹9 per unit. And many other places I heard it is 15 rupees, 16 rupees like that. Okay. Maybe future there will be capping will come for that. And so that's all for the public charging station. There is not much of formalities. So one issue as of now, what I have noticed is, when you go for higher rated chargers, the cable, the charging gun is through a cable. And that cable and its connector as of now is available 200 ampere. About 200 ampere, it has to be liquid cooled. So as of now, natural cooled is available in that one. So this liquid cooled cables and the gun using liquid cooled, all these things are in the process of getting updated and it is coming out. And you cannot simply install a charger if it is a government tender or a government approval. All these things means it has to undergo certain testing. And the test centers in India is one is Automatic Research Institute of India, ARI at Pune. Then another one is again a government control ISAT. These two institutions you have to test and get a test certificate. So this testing is done as per the IEC standard. So this is the process. Otherwise, there is not a much of issue in that one. And any further clarifications or charger requirements or any technical issues, you can contact us. This is our contact address as well as our mobile number. So any queries here, we can address now.
Thank you for your session, sir. We have 2 questions in the chat box. Can I read that for you?
Chat box, let me see.
I will read that.
Yeah, okay.
Who is the manufacturer of lithium-ion batteries?
Lithium-ion batteries across the world are so many. Mostly lithium-ion batteries are coming in cells. These cells are assembled as batteries. These cells are, if it is a lithium-ion battery, it is approximately 3.75, 3.8 volt per cell. If it is lithium iron phosphate battery, it is 3.2 volt per cell. To make it a 12 volt or a 24 volt or 48 volt, so many batteries is put it in. And this age of this battery is generally like say 5Ah, 7.5Ah, 10Ah, all these things. But ultimately for our bigger charger, bigger vehicles, we need a much bigger age. So many batteries are put inside as a series parallel combinations with the BMS, it is coming out a pack. And these cells are mostly done in China. And there are many companies, Samsung, Panasonic, there are many companies. As of now, I don't think anybody is manufacturing in India, but already our ISRO has come out with the technology and many people have bought this technology. And we hope within few years, this cell is to be, there are so many assemblers in India. Even in Kerala, we have so many assemblers, but not cell manufacturers. So the cell is, as of now, it is coming from outside, Korea, China, like that.
Okay, sir. Any of the participants want to ask some doubts, they can straight away unmute and ask the doubt. In between, I will put the next doubt here. Which is better, fast charging or battery swapping or slow or moderate charging? He's asked about which one among this is better.
It depends. For example, generally people, when they go to a petrol bunk, they get it filled in 1 hour, 1 minute, 2 minutes. So for people to wait for 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 1 hour, or, it's difficult. So charging means as of now, with the available battery in the cars in the road, it needs approximately 30 to 40 minutes for the charging. But battery swapping, if it is available, it will happen in a very few minutes. For example, there was a scheme already planned in Trivandrum for the city buses with the battery swapping. So they will have some master charging stations and swapping centers. So the buses will come, just stop there. The robot will come back and open the bus backside or rear side, take out the old battery and put the charged battery. Within few minutes, it will be done. So it is time base, it is much less, but the battery assembly should be done such a way that it can be removed and put back. So it is there, but for a car, all these things, especially see this, when you say the cars, it's a private cars. It is mostly people own use. If you charge your private car, how many kilometers you run on average? It is being told only 8% is the asset utilization of cars. So many people don't even run for 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour per week. So it's good enough, you get an extra 300 kilometers means if you charge once, you can use for a week. So there is no question of charging it outside. You plug it and charge it. That's all. And you can charge it from your own home. So when you move from one city to other cities, say you move from Trivandrum to Calicut, you have to charge at least 2 twice in between. Such requirements, such places, such cases really need a fast charging.
I guess that's
Hello.
best answer
Yeah,
for
I'm
that.
having. Hello. Yes, sir. Good evening, sir. I'm having a specific doubt. Recently, government came out with the planning from the private sector for they are trying to find out the investors for the this particular charging stations all over Kerala, like Anat and this KCB, I think. So how it will be, sir? Is it viable for the private sector to invest in this charging station? Because once they totally the technology can change and it can go to the battery swapping and everything. So how is it viable for the private sector to invest in it?
No, the technology will go to swapping. That is not the case. The main issue is going to be, see, as of now, the charging time is almost 30 to 40 minutes. Because people will not go to charging once the battery is dead. When the battery is almost 20 to 30% of the charge, they up to 80% the charge is very fast. Within 30 minutes, it will reach 80%. From 80 to 100%, it will take more time. So only 50% it has to charge, say 30 to 80%, which will happen in half an hour. The issue is people want to charge it much faster. If it can happen in 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, they will be most happy because time is important now. So as the technology changes, you will have batteries which is which can be charged much faster. For example, the lithium titanium battery, which needs only 10 to 15 minutes. Teslas are mostly using lithium titanium battery. If you have to charge a 100 battery, or say let us say 30 kilowatt battery, in 3 kilowatt you need 10 hour. Kilowatt into hour is 30 kilowatt hour. No, if you have a 30 kilowatt charger, you need a 1 hour only. But if you have to charge in 10 minutes, you need 6 into 6 180 kilowatt charger. So it can so happen maybe after 5 years, 10 years, the charger rating could be 300 kilowatts, 600 kilowatts, something like that. But I'm sure it is not going to happen immediately, but over a period of time, technology can change. And not only the technology will change in many ways, because as of now, there is a single direction charging. I mean, there is a V1G, that means it is the grid to vehicle. There is only one type charging, grid to vehicle. But very soon you will have a grid to vehicle, vehicle to grid. Whatever charge inside your vehicle can get transferred to grid, because you have a large energy stored in your vehicle unused. You can pump back to the grid and take money. During that time, from the solar you can charge the battery. Even you can sell to the grid. These things can come. Already it is there in the Western countries. These things can come naturally. So the issue here is how it is viable, where it is viable, first of all. See, as of now, the viability is mostly the charging stations at the malls. There are many hundreds of cars will be there at a time now. Then theaters, hospitals, housing societies. Of course, I think already there is a government structure, at least one charger in the petrol banks. Then naturally, charging stations, as per the government regulations, between every 25 kilometer on the highway, one charging stations. Fast chargers, highways. Otherwise, in the city areas, with between every 3 kilometers. This is the aim. This is the policy. It may take time. So, as of now, number of vehicles in the road is less. So, for the investment to get returned, the time will be more. So if you club it with something else, naturally it will be viable. But if you think of a charging station as a charging station alone, and if you want a return of investment in 5 years, it may be difficult for the time being. So if it's a long-term plan, it's a long-term investment, it is good.
Second, one more issue is there for the power allocation. Like, we need to blindly depend upon the utility company instead of the solar. So at least we need a 100 kVA transformer or more. So how it will be viable? That is also a problem. No?
That's also a problem, but the schemes will come as if like that, See, as the solar energy is getting penetrated more and more into the grid, naturally storage will be there. Without storage, it cannot be stable. So with the storage, the future charging stations will be like that. You will have a hybrid system where you have the battery, you have a solar, you have a main supply, everything put together. It will be a hybrid system, and it can be a large storage. The dependency on the grid can be very minimum. And this chargers, it will not be normal charger. The present chargers, it will be a bidirectional charger. One way it can charge, other way it can work as an inverter and export the power. So that is going to be the future.
Okay, thank you.
Any other doubts from the participants?
So Mohan, I have a doubt. As sir rightly told that ARI is mandatory for the fast chargers. I just want to check with sir whether it's for the AC slow chargers. Still that ARI approval is required?
See, it depends, you see, generally when the tenders are floated, especially if the tender from PSUs, they say this has to pass through certain norms, certain standards. That's the case it has to be.
No, if I am planning to install the charger in front of my home, and I am planning to open it for the public use. So is it possible to install one charger for a capacity of 7.2 or 22 kilowatt, and which is not ARI approved? Is it against the law or is it okay?
No, it is not a law. Only thing, see, as of now, I don't think it is a stricture. You have to have certification, but certification is required whenever you go for some approvals.
Okay, understood, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
I hope we have no more doubts. Once again, I ask the participants to raise any queries. If no, we can wind up the session.
Actually, I didn't go through much in depth of the chargers because there are so many things like you have the wireless charger, you have the flash charger. Then along with that, because I have seen a question along with the renewable energy, when you put a renewable energy along with the charging stations, how it will affect, how it will improve the situations. That is basically called smart charging. Because in the future, what is going to be smart charging? Because you imagine in Kerala, we have almost 1.2 crores or 120 lakhs of vehicles. Compared to all other states, Kerala is the mostly populated. The vehicle density is very high in Kerala. It's almost 28 vehicles per 100 person, which is only 3 per 100 average in other states, all India average. So naturally, once the EVs are spread, the vehicle population is going to be very high even for EV, then the burden on the grid for the charging is to be very high. Imagine every EV owners are putting this charger to grid in the evening because people are back at home in the evening. How it can sustain an issue. So throughout the world, this issue is there. How they are going to address it through smart charging. Smart charging during the time when the solar is more, it will be cheaper. And if they charge the vehicle during the peak time, they will be charged more because all the due to the smart meters. Smart meter, no? So this kind of smart charging systems also will come into play soon. So this is all big subjects to talk in, but what I talk to you mostly is on the peripheral government policies and I mean all the outskirts only, not much inside.
So we have one more question in the chat. Okay, we have one more question in the chat box. Does the efficiency of lithium-ion battery reduce by using fast chargers?
No, see, the question is when you charge a battery very fast charging, in the sense, charging rate is high, whether it will affect the life of the battery is a question. But every battery is coming out with a BMS where the charging current is limited within its safe limit. Discharging as well as charging is limited within the safe limit through the BMS. So need not worry about it that. In fact, all these lithium-ion batteries inside there is a liquid cooling, in fact, because when you charge at a very high rate, and also when you discharge at a very high rate, the heating effect inside the battery is so heavy, so it is all cooled through forced liquid cooling, not like our ordinary batteries. And
Okay,
when the efficiency we are always specified based on what current of discharge, what current of charging. As such, this is much better compared to our lead acid battery.
Okay, and we have one more question. I will first comment on the question and then I will transfer to you, sir.
Yeah.
The question is there are any safety approval required from electrical inspectorate for charging station installation? And I have to say that for any sort of electrical installation, we need the approvals from electrical inspectorate. And specific to the charging station, Varghese sir will reply.
Yeah, definitely. As you told correctly, any electrical installations, it will be needed. So as of now, there is no specific circular or anything is not there, but it is understood whenever you have electric installations, it needs a safety approval. I don't think for a wall-mounted smaller charger it will be required, but for a charging stations, if you set up, naturally you have to give applications and they may come down and check and certify it.
I hope we can end this session now. Is there anything you to add on this? And there is one more question, sir. Is there any V2G option available in Indian charging stations?
What is the question?
Is there any V2G option, vehicle to grid option available in Indian charging stations?
As of now, not there here in India, but it is already there in European countries and even Australia. It is already in practice. For that, the charger has to be different. The charger has to be bidirectional charger. And also, we do not, our law doesn't allow it now, but it will come. I'm sure it will come within a few years.
Yes, sir. We can expect this kind of more technology advancement in India soon.
Definitely.
It will come. Okay. So we can end the session right now. I guess it is 4 o'clock, and we have covered around 1 hour in this topic. So Varghese sir had explained about the need of electric vehicle, different type of chargers. More to the than the technical features, more techno-commercial aspects he have covered. So this video is readily available in our EMC's Facebook page. Also, it will be uploaded in our YouTube. You can anytime any of the participants can refer to the same. And I thank Varghese sir on behalf of Energy Management Center and Energy Management Institute. Thank you, sir. And I thank all the delegates and participants attended here and who have watched our Facebook live program. Also, one more request to Varghese sir, you please watch our Facebook page. Please visit our Facebook page. If somebody had posted some doubts, maybe under the Facebook video. So you are welcome to answer the queries if there are any queries. Once again, I thank everyone. Thank you, sir.
Okay, sure. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.